guys, this is Grandmaster Timur Gareev and Grandmaster Ronan Harzai.
Hi Timmy, and we will be presenting to you in this very interesting and I would say special video amazing sacrifices and extremely dynamic play. Why I say a bit special? Because we have collected games by top players, some of even two examples from our games, just to speak about our experiences in some interesting chess, but mainly ones that we believe you will not find in any ordinary book that you will open, not one of the hundreds of St. Tal sacrifices and others. We've collected many recent ones, including, well, starting from this example that actually speaks a lot to you, Timmy, because a game of Kasparov and actually in a blindfold simul, and I think no one is better to speak right now about this than you.
So you guys see the king right here and on f1, and not ordinarily the rooks are on g1 and h1. This is the game by Kasparov facing a computer named Mephisto. And yeah, I was reading a book yesterday about the blindfold chess. As it turns out, this was one of his opponents during a blindfold exhibition match, and super cool. Considering the difficulty that Kasparov was facing in this game. Here we go, move 28, and Kasparov delivers a sacrificial attack right here, starting with the move that some of you guys might have guessed already. And yes, it is knight e6.
After queen b7 was played, and then knight e6.
Okay, so right about here, black cannot handle just leaving the knight out there to e6. It's just absolutely impossible because bishop is coming towards h6. The rook is hitting along the g file, as well as the possibilities of doubling the rooks, doubling, tripling on the g file. So black has to capture the knight, which doesn't make things much easier. So this is the game from the 90s, where computers weren't quite as strong. So you can see a computer getting in trouble like this. But right about now, I'm sure even the computer started smelling something fishy right here. And it is pretty straightforward right here. From this point, Kasparov delivers a sacrificial rook g7, throwing one rook in there. King captures. Once again, it's just difficult to resist getting rid of this rook, since if bishop connects with the rook, having the king on f8, this is going to be a game over. If king goes towards h8, we have a beautiful bishop c5 idea right here. Bishop goes out of the way of the queen, and the queen is ready to go and connect with the attack. Rook takes, king captures. Obviously the other rook is going to be coming in, but first bishop h6 check. And here's the cool part about it. Bishop is coming in, but all bishop is doing is actually blocking the queen, the decisive piece, from getting in. And this is kind of Backhouse style. You instead of trying to secure the material, you just generally want to focus on the time aspect of the game. Yeah, you just want to make it forced, so that all your opponent is doing is just responding to your threats, constantly responding to your threats, and a lot of times those are checks.
Exactly, playing in the most forcing way. Black cannot be given any minute to play any move. White is down 8 points of material, a rook and a bishop. If it's not checkmate, it's either a queen or white is losing, but, well, luckily for white, it is a checkmate after this move.
So bishop g7, as you guys can see, bishop is coming in. This is another brilliant move right there, followed by this 2-3 sacrifices in a row. Bishop g7, king got a capture once again. Otherwise the queen is coming in, and now we're going to see the interaction between the queen and the bishop. This pawn right here, which arrived after knight e6 sacrifice, is naturally blocking the king from trying to get out of this situation right there. So here we go. Bishop g7, king captures. Finally, actually queen g5 first. King retreats. Actually, the queen gets the job done out here. We don't even see that the rook from h1 coming in. So king retreats, queen is coming in.
If king g8, then the rook delivers the final
Yeah,
blow.
now if king g8, obviously white is gonna.
Now he's using the rook.
Yeah, finish him off with the rook g1. So king has to go towards the queen side. Bishop g6. Now the bishop connects with the attack, and these two guys right here, this passive queen side, all the heavy pieces right here, and this beautiful
Active knight.
super active destroyer knight on a5 are all observers of this of the action. So queen is coming in, bishop is coming in, king is retreating, queen goes ahead and makes this final destructive check. Actually, if bishop f8, that is going to be followed by queen f8 checkmate. Well, actually, right about now we still have 98. Okay, so we can do a couple sacrifices, but that's not going to save black from defending the king. So beautiful example of throwing the knight into the attack. Then we got the rook, then we had the bishop coming in, then the bishop gets sacrificed, then the queen is coming in, the rook is ready to come in, then the white squared bishop is coming in. So that's the way you want to play chess.
I want to mention one thing, that I think it is important how amateurs, people that are watching this video and are not Garry Kasparov, can play this in a blindfold game. How can we get some feeling that something like this might happen? Let's go to the first original position. And I tell my students in a very simple way, look at the square where the king is. Just the square where the king is. The square, you will help me, thank you, Timmy. To e5, h5 to e5, up until e5, and then all the way to e8. This square around the king, the four, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many pieces does black have here? He has 2 pieces worth 6 points, where all his army, 2 rooks, a queen, a knight, that is 20 and a bit points of material, completely on the other side. This is where you start smelling something can be happening. All white pieces are aiming in this direction. This is exactly the moment to think about striking.
Yeah, so you guys can see this beautiful illustration of the point. You see the green arrows is some things that could be useful for the defense, and on the other hand, you have the red guys right there, which are not participating and potentially not very likely to participate. The queen is hitting the d5, which is supposed to be a big deal. However, there's just no time for it. After knight coming in right here, white is all ready to unleash all this potential. So now let's take a look at the white pieces that potentially could be attacking.
All of them.
It's no less than all of the pieces.
Exactly, and that's why the game was finished the way it was finished.
So in terms of for you guys who are just starting out, some of this tactical ideas may be a little bit complex. However, what you want to draw from it is just look how the pieces coordinate together and deliver this beautiful attack. And basically, the beautiful attack is only a side effect of a nicely well balanced position, ready to be thrown into this fire and create this decisive advantage on one side of the board.
Speaking about fire, our next example involving Mr. Fire on the board, Alexei Shirov, actually being burned on the other side against if we before has seen example of maybe the greatest man player of all time, then Judith Polgar is most likely, without doubt, the greatest woman player of all time, and that's our next example against one of the great tacticians, Alexei Shirov. So this is clearly a game with a lot of fire.
Yeah, you guys, you have a beautiful example of white, has an amazing position here. All the pieces are well placed, and centrally located. White is about to go ahead and castle. So white's position is actually good objectively. This is a nice spot for white. But here's the deal: how do you fight it? How do you break through it? And here's an interesting example for you guys: G5. So what is that gonna do?
Well, the idea of g5 is a very classical Sicilian idea, fighting for the e5 square for our knight. White cannot be allowed just to extend with g5, h4, because it means that black cannot castle to the king side, and we can already see his pawns advance on the queen side with a6 and b5, so he will not be able to castle to the queen side. That's clearly not a possibility here. Many bishop takes b5 will be played if queen on c7. So it's in those situations, many times black's best part is actually to leave the king in the center and play as active as he can on the flanks of the board. You know, I played a little bit similar lines of Sicilian, many times with the f3, e4, the English attack. We keep the king in the center and just play on the side. The idea of g5, exactly fighting for the center, specifically the e5 square.
Yeah, so sure, you know, if you leave the king in the center, it's always a little bit of a gamble, but that's the best gamble you can take. Okay, so g5 right here, and white's pawn is encouraged to go to the side, and now black is taking over the center.
Maybe an important moment was, instead of taking, for white to get his king to safety, because you said a second ago, king in the center, always dangerous. This looks like at least the logical, safer way for white, and if take on f4, many interesting ideas, either take back, even knight c5, that quick jump with the knight is a possibility. This is a classic complicated Sicilian game, where black has his outpost, nice structure, still has to work some difficulties. Actually, knight c5 even before bishop take f4 was interesting possibility. Very, very complicated, sharp game, but the decision for white to take first, well, it's going to cost him in this game.
So black is ready to get a little counterattack going right here, which starts with knight e5, and quite possible if Shirov right here playing with white pieces didn't expect all this momentum to develop, you know, out of the blue right here. So knight e5, queen retreats to g2 because white still has some responsibilities out here, mainly defend that pawn on g2 and
g4
on g4, and as well as e4 pawns right there. So black is continuing the momentum, kicking the knight out, white retreats, and now this h5 idea. Now this is amazing. This may seem like a bit of a mystery, but now black is fighting for the f5 square. So here black is actually really wants to play f5, hitting the e4, since white cannot engage with the e pawn. So black, all of the black's pieces are gonna get for one thing, white's center is gonna fall apart, and black's pieces are coming in through the center, delivering this counterattack. But Polgar is coming up with this ingenious idea to first distract the pawn right there, which if the other pawn took on h6, you would see f5 coming, g takes f, and now not the pawn but the knight taking. And the key is that after bishop retreats, the knight is coming through h4 towards f3 square, and this is especially poisonous right there. e4 is weak, bishop from h6 is coming into the game, and forget about castle now.
And all the dark swords. You know, Timmy, looking at everything that we have just mentioned, that you have just mentioned, I think that really, once again, going to the same story, after h5, it's not about taking, it's about getting the king into safety. Once again, white most logical continuation is going to be castle. We have seen the game, what amazing game by Judith, really throwing everything at Alexei that usually is on the other side. But getting the king away, the position is complicated. But after taking, it's just like everything, every move. You mentioned time before, white didn't get to play one move after taking h5.
Yeah, basically black is taking charge now. Okay, so let's see what's happening out here. G takes h, knight is coming through f5, bishop retreats, and
amazing.
Here's the queen g5, and it's like, you say, well, the queen is hanging. Well, the thing, if you take the queen right here, black is going to continue with knight f3, very simple fork, king retreats, knight g5, and now the pawn on e4 is gonna suffer. Knight is gonna capture the pawn, and more stuff is gonna go down. h5 is hopeless. So this position is super unpleasant right here. It's probably just lost for white. So queen g5, black. Oh, white goes for a little offensive, and this actually swings the balance big time in black's favor. Here, actually, you know, queen g5 might have been the best bet. After knight a5,
still very difficult position.
We got this beautiful knight e3,
yeah.
And queen g5 now is not even an option because
what a beautiful checkmate! Amazing.
The knights are gonna like to meet each other right there in the center, right next to white's king, and this is gonna be a checkmate right there. So white doing his best to parry Polgar's attack, and Judith is relentless. She first exchanges the queens and captures on c2. Now the bishop on b7 is hanging as well. However, black is going to take that rook on a1, and the thing about it, we have no doubts that the knight is going to be able to come back or actually even participate in the potential attack.
Exactly.
The bishop is coming from h6, hitting along this diagonal, and the rook is going to go to c8. Now imagine having that knight on a1. It's actually going to turn into attacking piece, coming back through c2 towards the center.
And black went on and won the game. I mean, maybe one tiny moment to mention is that if the bishop takes on e3, the queen takes on e3, and still keeping the idea of knight f3 and queen d2 checkmate. Basically, white doesn't get 1 second to breathe, like no second. Bishop take e4 was threatened, and the queen is gonna cost white the queen or checkmate. So this knight a3 was just it's amazing sequence of really like not allowing white 1 minute to regroup, one move to regroup. White didn't get after.
And so unexpected, you know. It's like it's just hard to expect that, especially if you're playing like in a rapid game. You know, it's just all of a sudden you just see one after another just coming onto you. Okay, so we're gonna, you know, as far as you know, just a nice little you know, story or conclusion to it, or just basically a summary to this game. Just a beautiful counterattack, and here it's a lot of the typical shots, starting with g5, h5, knight coming in through f5, you know, and tactical vision combined with the intuitive feel for a position. That's kind of what served the black, you know, as opposed to the previous game where white actually, as you can see, that was the Ruy Lopez, you know, the Kasparov's game. There was a Ruy Lopez where white is building up, especially against the computer. That's what we want to do. Just build it up, and then release, go for it. Here it was more of a just
unexpected,
a sudden
like,
kind of
exactly,
an explosion, a burst, which black
exactly
got into. You know, so that's the Sicilian potential right there. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with our Polgar segment. And here we got a position from Pansulaya versus Pansulaya, 2600 level player, versus Judith. And here this is black's move in this position after white continues with knight a3. So obviously white wants to defend the c2, have the c4 under control, and you see this beautiful Catalan bishop. So this position, if you have like a situation, let's say knight c6, knight c4, it may look like this is about even, but this position is actually pretty tricky. Having this bishop advantage is gonna make black's life a little bit challenging.
The normal Catalan bishop, basically.
Yeah, the Catalan bishop is quite annoying. Now all of a sudden, instead of dealing with the positional aspects of this situation...
Timmy, pause for a second. AJ was walking there in the back. Actually, let's anyway just save it.